And I'm going to revisit our real estate sign ordinance. Of course, we have Chapter 12, 1712 of the Municipal Code covers all signage. And I'm not talking about commercial signage in general, whether it's a commercial sign on your real estate building. I'm talking about specific temporary signage provisions in the Development Municipal Code that address your properties for sale and allowed signage on those. That's one topic. And then the other topic is your real estate signs for open houses. Very quickly, with regard to your on-site signs allowed when you're representing a property for sale, if it is a commercial project, there's one on-site sign that's permitted. Because commercial properties are generally larger, the City Council recognizes that you need higher visibility of those signs with deference to the sign requirements for a residential property, which is much smaller. On a commercial property, you're allowed one on-site sign advertising the property for sale, and it can be up to 32 square feet. For an image of that, picture a sheet of plywood, 4x8, that's 32 square feet. So, and the maximum height is 8 feet on that sign. So the top of the sign can't be more than 8 feet above grade. No off-site signage is allowed in commercial or residential as far as you're representing a property for sale. It has to be on-site. Can't be out in the public right-of-way. It's got to be on the actual property for sale. That applies to commercial signage or residential signage also. The primary difference is that your sign on a residential lot is limited to 8 square feet, which is basically 2x4. It's recognized with a smaller parcel, you're closer to the street generally. There's really not a lot of confusion typically on a residential property which one is for sale. So it's one on-site sign. Again, no off-site signage is permitted. And that's basically, we're trying to eliminate visual blight that's associated with signage. Can you imagine if every real estate agent had an off-site sign for every property that's for sale in Big Bear and put it up on the boulevard saying, you know, go this way? It'd be a nightmare. The second aspect of real estate signage relates to your open house signs. Excuse me. We've had a great deal of cooperation from you agencies, and we very much appreciate it. We're trying to work with you. We recognize that certain properties where you're conducting open houses are off the beaten path per se. The code says that you are allowed one open house on-site sign on the property when you're conducting the open house, and you're allowed 2 off-site open house signs with an exception. You're allowed up to 4 additional off-site signs where the property has no direct connection to a primary arterial. So, for example, you're up in the Fox Farm area, let's say Castlewood. You're going to need a sign down at the boulevard, one at the primary intersection coming off the main street, coming off of that, another one maybe at another street. So you're allowed now up to 6 signs if that's what it takes to get them to the street that you're actually conducting the open house on. So there's plenty of flexibility there. We ask consideration in this. They're not supposed to be in the public right-of-way. Now, am I going to get picky, or is my staff going to get picky as to it's a foot out in the right-of-way, but there's a slope adjacent to the street, and therefore you can't get it technically out of the public right-of-way? No. You know, what our goal is to work with you to make sure that we maintain pedestrian access. It's not a public safety issue by being out in the street, or, you know, that it's set back appropriately, but it's got to be functional for you guys too. So we recognize those constraints. But please, 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 do not set them in the middle of a sidewalk. Don't set them in the middle of an accessibility ramp at a corner cutoff. You know, you can make them visible and maybe slightly within the right-of-way, but don't obstruct access and cause a problem. Those we may pick up and bring to you and provide a nice explanation as to what the issue was. But it's common sense. We all have common sense in this room, right? You wouldn't be in private business if you didn't. So, you know, we're asking, use your common sense, be reasonable, and respect accessibility requirements. Is that any questions on that topic? Yes, sir.
On the off-site sign, as a directional, that a lot of agents use to put up a sign to give direction that we have a listing down the street or whatever the case may be, and that is the off-site that you're saying can't be in the right-of-way, correct? With an arrow, or can we have those signs at all?
You cannot have those signs at all. The only off-site signage permitted is for the open houses.
Right.
If it's a sign that you put in the ground that's representing a property for sale, it has to be on the site, one sign. Residential properties maximum of 8 square feet, commercial properties maximum of 32 square feet. So, you know, yes, ma'am.
Do you have a time limit as to how long we will allow those signs? I mean, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock? At what time do you start requiring? Is there any time limit?
It's somewhat generic. It's basically, obviously, we don't want the signs out when the open house isn't taking place. Now, we understand lunch breaks, that type of thing. I'm not going to ask you to go around pick up the signs when you go to lunch. But when you start it, yeah, put them out before. When you stop it, whether it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon or whenever the open house concludes, pick them up. They are not, in general, there's no time. It says at the conclusion of the open house or dusk. So, you know, if it's starting to get dark and yeah, technically it's been dusk for a little bit, no, we're not going to be out there picking them up. But if we see stuff out overnight or after dark, then we'll pick them up. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have to ask the property owner if we can put a sign on their lot?
Yes, you do. Again, are we going to go knock on the property owner's door and make sure that you've asked for permission to do that? No, but if we get a complaint, I'm hoping that they're calling you first, saying, "Hey, what's your sign doing on my property?" So, you know, it's going to be complaint driven from our perspective. Yes, ma'am.
On a large commercial sign, how is it to be placed on the lot, and if it's placed perpendicular, can it be double-sided?
Yes, the sign is double-sided. It can be faced each side, which they typically are. Generally speaking, it's on your support post. And I forgot, the maximum sign height for the residential signs is 6 feet. So it's 8 feet high commercial, 6 feet on your residential sign. All your support posts that are installed to support your residential signs are well within that 6-foot limit. Signs two-faced, and basically you instruct your people to install the signage based on what gives you the most visibility while remaining on the property. If you've got a corner property and you've got 2 streets coming together, where's the most visible location? Right where those two things come together, where you can see it from both ways, where the 2 streets come together. Makes sense. Yes, sir.
2 questions. Lighted signs and then things on open house signs like balloons or flags or streamers.
Good question. Number one, the development code and municipal codes are very specific. Non-illuminated signage. They cannot be lit. So we don't want any illumination on the signs. And balloons, pinwheels, feather banners, those types of things are not permitted. It's specifically your sign, 2x4 or 8 square feet maximum on the residential, 4x8 or 32 square feet on commercial. Non-illuminated, no attention getters. They're visible enough. At 32 square feet, believe me, they're visible. And even in residential neighborhoods at 8 square feet, they're visible.
What about the size of the open house signs?
Open house signs, I believe that's also, those are actually, I believe, 4 square feet. I think a 2 by 2 is the maximum sign size. We don't want them too big because then we get the potential that if they're really close to the edge of pavement or something, then you get into the problem of visibility, maybe a traffic hazard. So I think it's 4 square feet on the open house signs.
On the open house sign, or on our open house, can we have our open house flags, the traditional realtor flags in the yard, you know?
No, I'm not going to say anything about flags on site. You can have those for an open house. Yeah, those are attention getters specifically for the site. I don't have any problem with the flags in the front yards on those, you know. Again, though, no feather banners. We got to keep it within reason.
When you say feather banners, are you talking about the tall, slim
Correct.
banners that say open house on?
You've seen them come and go up and down the boulevard on various businesses. Yeah, they're typically, what, 8-10 feet tall and about 18 inches or 12 inches wide, and they say hot dogs today or whatever. Yeah, no feather banners. Any other questions?
Right out here.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Say I'm in violation of one of the restrictions, and you take my signs. A, where can I pick them up, and B, what's it gonna cost me to get it back?
Well, number one, we're going to try and call you first. All right? And we're going to try and explain why it was in violation, and we're going to try and give you the opportunity to remove it within a reasonable 12 to 24-hour period of time. Where we get repeat violators, we will take the sign, and then we will store them temporarily, typically 15 to 20 days, behind the chalet building at the Civic Center. So if you have one disappear and you think that we've got it, it shouldn't occur unless we've had the discussion and talked to you before. But if for some reason it does, give us a call. We'll check to make sure that we've got it, and then we'll let you know you can come pick it up. Is there a cost to picking it up? First time we have to do it, no. If we got a repeat issue, then we're going to issue a citation. And the first citation is a $100 fine. Second citation is $250, third $500. But we haven't had to go to a citation yet. I'm sorry?
I said, is that per sign?
Per violation. Per violation. And if you keep putting them up, it could get expensive. All right, any other questions? With that, I really appreciate the opportunity again to be here. I thank you all, and thank you for the jobs you do for the